Let's look at scenario method of data validation. That is the type of data we dealt with data validation. That is the type of inputs that could be entered into a particular cell. But in this particular case, we want to look at a scenario case. In other words, we want to look at a particular case, a particular situation, a particular case study, whereby we validated the type of data that we entered into a particular cell. Now, let's assume you are giving the following assumptions. The assumptions are: the land will cost 3.2 million naira. The assumptions are: the land will cost 3.2 million naira to purchase. Then the contribution to the council in that particular local government area. So the council contribution fees will be 400,000. The property that we develop will be 5,000 square meters in total. That is the property that will be developed will be 5,000 square meters in total. Then the building cost will be 1,500 naira per square meter. That's the cost per square meter is 1,500 naira per square meter. Now, and the selling price, we will sell the properties for 2,500 per square meters. The building cost will cost 1,500 per square meters. Then we'll sell the property 2,500 per square meters. Then the sales commission to the sales agents, to the estate agent, will be 1.8% of the sales price. Now, I'm giving the above information. We're expected to calculate the income, that's the total income, the total expenses, profits, and the profit margin. That if there will be profit or there will be loss. Note, we're told to note this, that total expenses include the council contribution fees, that is an expense to the investor. The building cost is an expense to the investor. The sales commission and the land cost, they are all expenses to the commission. That is the contribution to the council, the building cost, the sales commission, and the land cost. Okay, the building cost is 1,200 naira per square meter, please. So it's 1,200 naira per square meter. Now, let's start. Now, the first thing we are going to do is the income. What will be the income? What will be the income we should be expecting? Now, before we do that, let's quickly put a rule here. Click on the home menu. I want to insert a rule. I want to insert a rule to that particular cell. Click on sheet rule. Now I want to insert a rule in that particular cell. Okay. Total number of square. Okay, now let's quickly do this without wasting time. Now the first thing we are going to do is calculate the total income. Now the total income will be the building cost per square meter. The building cost per square meter is 1,200. Then the total square meter, the total number of square meter is 5,000. So if 1 square meter is 1,200, 5,000 square meter will be 1,200 times the total number of square meter, which is 5,000. So click on the cell for 5,000 and press enter. Now the next thing we are going to calculate is expense. Now the land cost is an expense. Now the cost of the land is 3,400,000. That's 3.4 million. Then the building cost, the cost of the building. Now the building cost per square meter is 1,200. Oh, sorry, I've made a mistake. Let's delete this. The income will be the sales price per square meter. which is 2,500 times the total number of square meter. Now type equals into that particular cell. If 1 square meter costs 2,500, click on that, times the total number of square meter is 5,000. So if one square meter costs 2,500, 500 square meter will cost what? We multiply the two cell and press enter. Microsoft Excel gives us the value of that, so we can easily see that is okay. We can see that. Now the next is building cost. The building cost per square meter is 1,200 and total square meter is 5,000. So the building cost will be type equals into that particular cell. Recall whenever you want to calculate using Microsoft Excel, you have the type equals into that particular cell. Now click on 1,200, which is the cost per square meter times the total number of square meter, and press enter. Okay, sorry, this is not where we have to put it. Okay, this is not where we have to put it. So let's press Ctrl X on your keyboard. Press the Ctrl key on X. Click on the building cost and paste it there. Now we've done that. Now the next is the sales commission. Now we are told that sales commission is 1.8% of what? Sales. So type equals in that particular cell. Click on the cell for sales commission, which is 1.8% times sales. The total the sales is the income which we have here. So click on the cell for that income and then press enter. Thus we've gotten the commission. Now we can see all our total expenses. Type equals to that particular cell and type the sum function. So Microsoft Excel brings out a brief description. Always remember to read this to ensure that is a function you want to use. Now the next thing you need to do, double click this function and click on the cell you want to sum. This is the cell I want to sum. I want to sum from B8 to B11. So Microsoft Excel highlights the cell that is what's highlighted. So type a bracket, close and press enter. The next is the net profit. To get the net profit, type equals into this particular cell. Click on the cell for income, which is 12,500,000 minus the total expenses, which is 10,025,000. Now we can see the net profit. Now the net profit, to get the percentage net profit, to get the percentage net profit, to get percentage net profit, to get profit margin, the profit margin will be net profit all over income. Now that's the profit margin. Then we can multiply that by 100 to get the percentage. You can see the profit margin is almost 1. Let me delete this. Let's see the profit margin again. Now the profit margin is 0.198. Okay, it's not almost 1. It's very far away from 1. 0.198. That's to tell you that the profit margin is very, very small. So if an investor invests into this particular type of real estate investment, the profit margin is very, very small. So let's times this by 100 and press enter. Or alternatively, let me undo this. Alternatively, click on this particular cell, click on the home menu. When you click on the home menu, you click on the percentage. That converts it to percentage. So the profit margin is 20%. Now the question is this: if the cost per square meter of the building rather increases or decreases, what will be the profit margin, or what will be the effect of it on the net profit and the profit margin, the income, and every other variables? in this particular model. And if the sales price as well also changes, as the cost per square meter also changes, the sales price per square meter also is affected. And other factor and other variable will remain constant. But the square meter is the same thing, the sales commission is the same thing. But the building cost could either increase or decrease, and the sales price could either increase. What will be its effect on the profit margin, net profit margin, total expenses, the building costs, and other variables. Now, in this part of situation, we are talking about a scenario. We are talking about a particular case. So, in order to do this in Microsoft Excel, we make use of what is called the what-if analysis. Now, the what-if analysis helps us to solve this particular case. Now, you can either make use of, you go to the formula menu, and click on the what-if analysis, which we've done. So we go to the data menu and go to the what-if analysis, which we've done before, and go to scenario manager, or you can even use data table or go 6. But I'm not going to use any of that, but I'm going to use another method of doing that. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to have 3 different cases, now 3 different scenarios. So let's quickly highlight the cells. That's highlight 4 cells. Click home. I want to insert 4 additional rows. That is why I highlighted 4 cells. So click on insert, then click on insert sheet rows. See, Microsoft Excel has added 4 additional cells. So click on this particular cell and press Ctrl X on your keyboard to cut it. Click on cell A1 and press Ctrl V on your keyboard to paste it. Now, that is that. I need a scenario cases. Now, in this particular case, in this particular economic case, let's call this economic cases or economic situation. Okay, let's just leave it. Let's assume that we have a good situation. We have a good economy. Or let's further say we have a pessimistic view, a optimistic view, and pessimistic view. So let's say pessimistic. Okay, then let's call this optimistic. That's optimistic scenario. That's where by the investors is expecting, whereby they expect, so this is the normal case, the normal scenario, the normal situation. Now, the pessimistic situation represents a scenario whereby the investor expects a decrease in the cost, that is, a changes in the cost of land that will lead to a decrease in the cost of land, and also a sales price, and also that will lead to a decrease that will lead to that will also lead to a decrease in the sales price per square meter. That's the pessimistic case. While the optimistic case is a situation whereby the investor expects an increase in the building cost and the sales price per square. Now, what we are going to do now is this. In this particular scenario, we have this already here. So we can type this normal scenario, type equals to here, and okay, let's just type 1,200 there. Then pessimistic scenario, let's say 1,000, and the optimistic scenario, let's assume 1,700. Then this talks about the building cost. Align these 2 cells, press Ctrl C on your keyboard to copy, click the top of the cell and press Ctrl V on your keyboard to paste it. Now, that is that. So for this particular case, for the other case, click on this, press Ctrl C to copy, press Ctrl V to paste. Now, sorry, I want to paste it here. Okay, now let's assume a situation whereby this will reduce to 2,250, and we have this increase to 2,750 as well. Okay, now let's have this. Let's press Ctrl X on your keyboard, press Ctrl S on your keyboard to cut that, and press Ctrl V on your keyboard to paste it at the top there. Now we have this situation. Now the first thing we are going to do, we are going to create a kind of validation for this particular cell. So what we are going to do, click on this particular cell, click on the data menu. Go to the data tools group, click on data validation, select data validation. Now in this data validation dialog box, what we are going to do, click on the allow text box, select list. When you select list, the source of the list, click on this particular cell. The source of the list is any of this value. Now I want a situation, click OK. I want a situation whereby whenever we click a normal situation, Microsoft Excel will give us what will be the effect of a normal situation, what will be its effect on income, or whenever we choose a pessimistic situation, what will be its effect on the cost, what will be its effect on income, on the building cost, sales commission, and what will be the effect of that on the profit margin. So that's the kind of situation I want to do. So the next thing we are going to do now is this particular cell. We are now going, this is 1200 in this cell. We click on this cell. You can delete the value and type equals to in that particular case, and you can make use of we can make use of sum if, or you can use the Vlookup function. But let me make use of the sum if the range of this value includes any of the list in this particular place, that is any of the scenario that is being selected. Microsoft Excel should sum this range, in other words, to bring the result of this particular range, and press enter. So now that is that. Now we can do similar thing for, okay, let's see now. If we have a normal situation, we've already seen our profits. Now under normal circumstances, we can see that the building cost is 1,200 and there is a profit margin of 20%. The income is about 12,500,000, and we have the cost, the building cost about 6 million naira. Okay, now let's assume there is a change in this particular scenario. So let's assume that there is a pessimistic scenario situation. So let's assume that the pessimistic scenario situation occurs. You can see now that the building cost is now 1,000 naira. The income is no more. His income is now what? 12,500. That is the income. The income is now what? 12,500. Now, this particular case, our income did not change. Why? Because the sales price did not change, and the total number of square meters was what? Constant. Now, the only thing that changes is any sales that have effect with building cost. For instance, the building cost, the value of building cost here changes. So that also affects the total expenses, but that does not affect the sales commission. But it affects the total expenses, then you now finally affect the income, because we have the total expenses will be affected as long as the building cost is what? Affected. Once the building cost is affected, it affects the what? Total expense. Then it affects what? The income. Then that will affect the profit what? Margin. That you can see we have 28 what? %. Now, only if the pessimistic situation occurs, the profit for this type of investment, if an investor invests into that business, will be 28% profit margin. But if the optimistic situation occurs, now whereby the building cost, is 1,700, sorry, this we have to change this. This should be a pessimistic situation, and this should be optimistic situation. Sorry, optimistic situation. Fine. So that is what should be there. So we have that. Okay, we can build a scenario analysis all over again. So let's go back to the data table. Let me still use that. Let me click on validation. Click select validation. Okay, let's quickly do that. Okay, so when we have optimistic situation, we'll see what happens. Okay, we have B3 here, so let's make this B3 and press enter. Fine. Okay, fine. We can now see every situation. Now we can see the profit margin for an optimistic situation. Now this situation is called optimistic because the cost of land per square meters fell to 1,000. The normal situation is 1,200, but the optimistic situation is that the cost fell to 1,000. While the pessimistic situation, if the cost increases to 1,700, what will be the net profit margin? Now, if the pessimistic situation occurs, we can see the profit margin, that there will be no profit margin because the investors will not be making any profit. But if the optimistic situation occurs, we can see if the optimistic situation occurs, the investor will be making 28%. Or if the normal situation occurs, the investor will be making 20%. If the normal situation occurs, the investor will be making 20%. Okay, now we can also include that for this particular cell here. We can include that for this particular cell. In this particular place, we can do that for sales. So now what we are going to do now is this. We're going to click on the home menu. Click on the home menu. Click on the data menu. Then click on the data validation. Click on data validation. In this data validation list box, click on list. Then click on OK. Okay, sorry, I have then entered my source. My source is still this. Okay, now let's click on OK. Now we've done that. We're now going to link this particular cell. This is 2005. So click on equals to in this particular cell and make use of. I said we can also use Vlookup. So we can say Lookup. Now we are looking up okay, let's use the sum if. Okay, always remember to read this. Let's use the lookup. Look up this value. That's the cell we did data validation. Look up the value in that cell within this particular vector. That's lookup vector, and return the result of this particular vector. Then bracket close and then enter. Now So let's assume we have a normal situation here. You see, now under normal situation we have, so under the optimistic situation, whereby the price of land will fall to 1,000, but the sales price per square meter also falls to 2,250. So let's see what will be the effect on profit margin. Profit margin will be 28%. Now we can see the cost on land. The cost of land will now be what? Will now be up to 5 million naira. Up to 5 million naira. Sales commission is still about 22%, about 22,000, about 225,000. Now, okay, let's see the other situation. This optimistic situation and normal situation. Optimistic situation and optimistic, both situations are optimistic. What will be the effect when both situations are optimistic? Now, if this particular situation is pessimistic, if the pessimistic situation occurs whereby the price of land increased to 1,700 per square meter, and the pessimistic situation here also occurs where the price of land increased to 2,750, so we can see that the profit margin will be what? 9%. But if an pessimistic situation occurs here, but the situation here it remains normal, you can see the effect of that on the net profit margin. But if when there is a pessimistic situation there is an optimistic situation here, then you can see the effect of that on the profit margin. The profit margin is still what? Remains the same, despite the optimistic situation we have. Sorry. Pessimistic situation, 2,750. Pessimistic situation, optimistic situation. Now 2,000. Optimistic situation. Where I'm clicking. Okay, Excel is not picking well. Okay, Excel is not picking well. Now let's look at optimistic situation and normal situation. Let's see, we have a pessimistic situation. Let's assume we have a optimistic situation here. Now have optimistic situation. Now this optimistic situation, so let's assume we have a pessimistic situation here. I'm going to round up with that. Now we have a pessimistic situation here, and we have an optimistic situation here. Okay, let me check this if something is not affecting that. Okay,